In the heart of Iceland, deep in the countryside, there are houses where no one dares to live. Now this might sound like a premise for a horror movie or an episode of Ghost Adventures, but it's actually rooted in reality. And if that doesn't scare you enough, then just wait until you hear about what's going on in those houses, because these are the stories of buildings that are haunted not by ghosts, but by gods. For centuries, Icelanders believed that, or the hidden people, were everywhere around them, living in homes and hiding in plain sight. As such, there were many families that built their lives around avoiding the potential dangers of living alongside these supernatural beings. And since we don't know exactly what kind of powers they possessed, the locals took extreme measures to make sure they stayed away. But why? Let's find out. First, let's look at where all of this started. The first written accounts of the Huldufolk can be traced back to 13th, 14th, and 15th century Icelandic literature. During the height of the Viking Age, when tales of mystical creatures and magical beings was commonplace, the term Huldufolk literally translates into English as the hidden people. However, these so-called people were often described as having more in common with dwarves than actual human beings. In some stories, they were said to be little people who lived in small villages in the mountains or in the woods. They were said to dress in fine clothing and sometimes ride around on horses or even reindeer. They could also cast spells and had access to powerful magic, which they would use to influence humans and sometimes cause them harm. However, despite their potentially dangerous abilities, some people viewed the Huldufolk as almost kind of neighbors. It was believed that every mountain and every big rock monolith had its own particular spirit residing within it, as well as other natural formations like caves, waterfalls, and old-growth trees. In fact, these spirits were considered so important to everyday life that they were consulted before major events like marriage or starting a farm. This practice was known as seeking the spirit's mind, and it was done out of respect for the land and its inhabitants. These beliefs would later turn into superstitions, and eventually led to entire communities shunning certain areas because of fears of being targeted by malevolent forces. So now let's see how this fear manifested itself in real life. One particularly harrowing tale comes from a remote village on the Snæfellsnes Peninsula. For generations, the villagers believed that a giant troll lived in a nearby cave. Every night the troll would leave his home and walk across the village, crushing the roofs of houses and tossing carts and barrels into the air. To avoid being crushed by the troll, families would have to flee to the hills. They would hide out in caves until morning, eating raw horse meat to survive, and if they were lucky, they could escape the troll's wrath. However, as time went on, the villagers got tired of constantly running away. So they did something drastic. They decided to sacrifice a woman to the troll in hopes that he would stop coming to their village at night. A mother volunteered to be the sacrifice, and her son helped lure the troll into a trap. He led him away from the village and into a deep ravine where the ground was covered with stones. Then the villagers rolled huge boulders down the sides of the ravine, trapping the troll inside. The next morning they searched the area and found that the troll was dead. Although this story may seem like a thing of legend, similar tales can be found all over Iceland, each one describing a different creature and a different set of horrifying circumstances. There are stories of witches, trolls, elves, and other mythical beasts that have caused people to abandon their homes in fear. Let us take a look at some of the houses where these beliefs were so strong that no one would dare live in them. Our first stop is a small town called Blönduós. Here you'll find an abandoned house that no one has dared to occupy for over 100 years. The house stands empty, slowly rotting away into the landscape, a constant reminder of the power of folklore and fear. You see, the residents of Blönduós believed that a witch named Groahala lived in the house, and she was said to have used her powers to harm those who crossed her path. Some say she put curses on unsuspecting passers-by, while others claim she even made deals with the devil himself. Whatever the truth may be, no one wanted to risk angering the powerful witch, so they left her house untouched, allowing nature to reclaim what was once a place of great evil. Next, we head to a remote farmhouse on the east coast of Iceland. For generations, it was shunned by locals who believed that a troll had taken up residence inside. The story goes that the troll was so powerful that he could shake the very foundations of the house with his mighty footsteps. No one could stay inside during his nightly rampages, so the family was forced to leave their home and live in a cave until the danger passed. Eventually, the house became too much of a hassle and was abandoned, left to rot and crumble under the watchful gaze of the ever-present troll. But our final example is perhaps the most haunting of all. Deep in the mountains of central Iceland, there's a house that seems straight out of a fairy tale. It looks like your typical cozy cottage, complete with a thatched roof and stone chimney. But don't be fooled by its seemingly idyllic appearance. Behind those closed doors lies a dark secret. According to local legends, the house is home to a malevolent spirit that feeds on the life force of anyone who dares to enter. People who have tried to live in the house have suffered from unexplained illnesses and accidents, leading them to flee in terror and never return, and that's just scratching the surface. Across Iceland, there are countless other homes that stand abandoned, each with its own unique story of fear and superstition, from houses haunted by witches to farms terrorized by trolls. These places are a testament to the power of belief and the lengths to which people will go to protect themselves from the unknown. Now, if you're thinking that this is all just a bunch of superstitious nonsense, then you're not alone. Many of these stories have been passed down through generations by word of mouth, and it can be difficult to separate fact from fiction. However, what is clear is that these beliefs have had a profound impact on Icelandic culture. To this day, many Icelanders take great pains to avoid disturbing the balance between the natural world and the spiritual realm. They believe that by doing so they can prevent the wrath of the Huldufólk from falling upon them. Some argue that these beliefs are nothing more than a holdover from a more superstitious time. After all, Iceland is one of the most modern and progressive countries in the world. It's hard to imagine that in this day and age, people would still be afraid of trolls and witches. Yet despite the country's rapid modernization, many Icelanders still hold on to these ancient beliefs. They tell stories of elves and other mythical creatures to their children, and they take great care to avoid disturbing any potential sources of supernatural energy. In fact, the Icelandic government even recognizes the importance of preserving these beliefs. In recent years, they've passed laws protecting sacred sites and natural landmarks from development. This is in recognition of the deep cultural and historical significance that these places hold for the Icelandic people. It's clear that the belief in the Huldufólk continues to be a powerful force in Icelandic society. Whether or not these beliefs are based in reality doesn't really matter. What's important is the role they play in shaping Icelandic culture and identity. These stories remind us of a time when people were more in tune with the natural world and more reliant on their imaginations to explain the unexplainable. They also remind us of the importance of respecting other cultures and beliefs, even if we don't understand them. So the next time you hear someone talking about trolls or witches, don't just dismiss them as crazy or superstitious. Take a moment to appreciate the rich cultural heritage that these beliefs represent. Who knows, maybe there's more to the world than we can see or understand, and maybe it's best to keep an open mind about the possibility of the unknown. Now, what do you think? Are these stories just a bunch of old wives' tales, or is there something more to them? Have you ever seen anything strange or unexplained while traveling? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. Thanks for watching.